Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on webinar number 24 of the Independent Gym Series webinar. It's an interesting day today. We are day 3 of reopening in England, so most of you are probably focusing on getting your members back in, although I think it sounds like it's gone pretty well so far for a lot of you. If you're not in England, you've got a little bit of a longer wait. So I think Scotland is another week and a half, and then Wales will be sort of just a little bit after that. So thank you everyone for joining us. Today's webinar is hosted by Chris Sharman of Topodium Group. Chris has got a big background. We've just been having a chat in children's camps and children's sort of services effectively. I'll let Chris explain himself who they are and what they do, but essentially we're looking at how to run a successful children's activity camp in your facility. This takes me back a little bit. My days as a lifeguard at David Lloyd, I think I drew the short straw a lot of the time, and an 18-year-old lifeguard would get thrown in to do the team fitness sessions, and you'd have sort of half a dozen uninterested kids, and you'd figure out what to do with them. So I'm sure it's changed completely since I did that. So on that note, stories of my past, I'm going to hand over to Chris, and he's going to tell you how to do it better. So Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Rob. And no, it hasn't changed that much. People are still getting thrown into kids' activities, but I appreciate people that have joined, people that are listening in as well. Focus of the next kind of 20 minutes is to really give an overview on how to run a successful children's activities program, and really focusing on a couple of key topics and areas. I can't go into detail on all of them, but we'll cover as many as we can, and we'll do a bit of a Q&A at the end as well. Just a bit about my background, as Rob was alluding to. I've been in the sector for 25 years. I started when I was 15, doing kids' parties, holiday camps, after-school programs at the local leisure centre, and never really left the sector. And for me, children's activities has been part of what I've done for about 25 years. And 10 years ago, I set up a consultancy business specialising in children's activities, which is now a core division of Topodium Group. So the next kind of 20 minutes or so, aim is to discuss what I call the 7 Ps of children's activities, and how they contribute when they're put together to a successful addition to your facility. So whether you are dabbling with kids' activities, whether you have a full-on kids division within your business, how these 7 Ps can help contribute to driving success within what you do. A bit of background on Topodium Group before we go. I'll play this little video which oversees or shows a little bit about Topodium Group. I'll explain the divisions and then we'll get going.
We're setting out on a journey to make something extraordinary, to outwit the competition, to support our people and communities, to find strength when it gets tough, to be brave and bold, to weather the storms and chart unknown territories, to dig deep and power through, to rise up and feel the glory. To challenge what's possible, to inspire the minds of the future, to reach for gold, to claim first place, to stand center plinth. Topodium Group, we're here for the journey.
So that's a little overview of Topodium Group. We class ourselves as a transformational ecosystem where we have 4 core divisions where we specialise within the sport, health, leisure and children's facilities and sectors. So we have the 4 core divisions. As I said before, the kids division is an iteration of a consultancy business that I've been running personally for 10 years, which is based on a number of the clients that I've worked on, from Disney through to Universal Studios, from David Lloyd through to Virgin Active and Challenger Sports, who ran 3,500 camps a year in the States. So a big, strong children's background. And I've done a seminar previously with Independent Gyms on marketing, and I'm sure we'll look at active and innovation in future stages. Within the kids division, we have a brand called Kidstivity. Kidstivity has had a number of different iterations in various different countries, from a dance school in Lebanon through to football programs in South Africa. But ultimately, it's an off-the-shelf toolbox of children's activities. So designed by experts, built for children's activities professionals globally. And it's an extensive toolbox of branded and white-labeled programs for kids of all ages. So what we wanted to create was this solution which had everything in one place for those that just wanted to outsource, utilize, get resources for anything involving kids' activities. This is just a selection of, I think, 13 or 14 of the programs that we run, sit under 4 themes: active, which is there's a football program, a preschool program, a multi-sport activity program, and a swim program and a swim school. Creative is around cooking, craft, and dance. Fitness programs, which are in a couple of health clubs across Europe at the moment, circuit-based, yoga-inspired, high-energy kind of HIIT-based classes. And then what I call foundations, which most leisure centres and health clubs utilise, which is after-school programs, parties, birthday parties and holiday camps, and the structure for those. Before we start, and I do this for a few of the workshops, is an opportunity for you to rate yourself in the areas that that you operate within children's activities. We're going to go through the 7 Ps. So if you're not quite sure what they mean, that's what they are. And just put yourself a score as we go through them, 1 to 4. 1 being you don't do or it's very poor, 4 being very good. And the idea is that as we go through these 7 Ps, you should pick up some actionable items that will help you move that score up if you were to make some amendments or changes. So we'll cover the 7 Ps in a little bit more detail. Just have a look at that score as you go through. So as you would have seen on that last slide, these are the 7. I put 2 of them together. So place, program stroke plans, products, price, people, and then promotion. So those marketing people amongst you will notice that 5 of those are very similar to the 5 marketing Ps as well. I just thought that would work. So let's go through them in a bit of detail. First one is place. And there's a nice little quote from Alexandra Stoddard on there. For me, facilities either have custom areas, so they have an entrance for the kids department, they have their own special studios and facilities, or they're shared and you have shared spaces. So if you're lucky enough and your model is such that you've got a custom kids space, then that's great. But if not, you're utilizing aerobic studios, tennis courts, outdoor space, wherever you can find a gap to place kids. Each is fine as long as you're using them in the right way. For me, the ideal children's space should have some indoor and outdoor facilities. If you look at particularly trampoline parks, indoor soft play centres, they die a death in the summer because people are desperate to get some outdoor air and some space. Whereas in the winter, they're jam-packed. So if you have an opportunity to have both indoor and outdoor space, you're clearly going to cover all the seasonalities that you are having to deal with. For me, when you're building a space, and I do a full seminar on this, is consider a view from 3 foot. A lot of people have some really great looking facilities and they have some great notice boards and they have great signage and so on, but they're not considering the view from 3 foot, which is actually the average child coming into your facilities. What do they see when they get out of the car? What do they see when they come through the car park, when they walk through the front door? Is everything an adult height, so therefore it's irrelevant to the child? For me, that journey, that experience that a child has is you want them to come back to your facility. You want them to be going, Mum, Dad, take me because I love it there. So therefore consider them when you are looking at the build, the design of your entrance halls, your facilities, your corridors, and so on and so forth. And for me, this is, having worked and managed health clubs across the country, the balance of adults and kids? How do you develop and create a thriving children's activities division, department, part of your club, and not, excuse the French, piss off the adult members that want it to be an exclusive club facility for them and there's kids running around? And how do you segregate? How do you find locations that help adults that come in for their downtime not have to mix with families, particularly if you've got smaller facilities where you are sharing space for children's activities. So place is a massive consideration when it comes to kids' activities. Program and plans. I love this quote: only children believe they are capable of everything. And for me, when it comes to programs, it's all about variety. It's all about making sure that you've got excitement in what you're able to do. If as much time was focused on children's programming as it was adult aerobics classes and timetables and new fitness equipment going into gyms and so on and so forth, then the kids department would be way ahead of where some of them are right now. I've put teenagers first. It's always the question mark. Do we class teenagers as kids? Are they allowed to come into the gym? Can they go and do classes? And for me, no one really has got teenagers quite right yet. And they're a difficult group to sort. For me, they benefit from a hybrid of having access to a good quality children's program, but also being able to have access to certain classes within adult programs. So they really are bridging the gap. They are your future members. They are the future adults at 16 or 18 or whatever the age group is that you define. So therefore, how do you help transition them out of childcare and children's activities into becoming a mainstream adult paying member as they go through A-levels or university? You've then got the nuts and bolts of what I would call a core children's program. You've got your term time programs. They are kids go back to school. What do we do? Friday night, we always go to an after school program. Thursday, we always do martial arts. Sunday morning, we go and do baby dance or whatever that might be. So they're the regular programs that run through the school term times. You've got your holiday camps. I talked about the fact that I've been involved with these for years, and they normally form two types. What I would call a play scheme, more childcare based, which is multi-activity, or you've got sports-based camps. So that could be a football camp, it could be an athletics camp, but mainly sports focused. You've then got birthday parties. It's the one steady thing that every parent, regardless of what money they've got coming in, is going to spend money on their kid for their birthday. And the ability for you to create a hassle-free party solution for them in your facility is huge. And for me, birthday parties, if you have a member base and it is one of the members' children that has a party, you are ultimately being paid to market to all your members' friends who are coming in with their child to that birthday party. Birthday parties are a hugely underutilized marketing resource for selling memberships, because some of the best ones give day passes to the adults that are coming in. Rather than dropping them off and then going off and going shopping, what can you do to accommodate the parents of the other kids that are coming in to utilize and experience your facilities for the first time? Workshops, these are one-off workshops. These are typically themed. So what is your Christmas workshop? What is your Easter workshop? What is your focus on doing a custom workshop around the Olympics or whatever that might be? So don't necessarily fall into a pattern. You've got incursions and excursions. Some facilities will take kids out to go to the local park where they don't necessarily have indoor facilities, so they'll do excursions out, and you'll have incursions in. So that might bring in a dance company to come and run a workshop for you during the school holidays. So have a look at how incursions and excursions can add value to your program and your timetable. The last piece is more around planning, and you'll see some session plans over on the right-hand side that we've written recently for an organisation. You've got two ways of running it. You've got the structured plans where you've got, this is what we do, and it's structured. If you've got multiple sites, that then enables you to have consistency across the sites. You always know what's going to happen. You always know that there is a progression. Or you've got this MIUAGA, which is what stands for make it up as you go along. And a lot of instructors do that, and some instructors have an ability to do that very well. but it's right, whatever we fancy doing today, we'll do. So that doesn't always enable a progression for children to learn a skill and progress it over a period of weeks. So that making it up as you go along is great sometimes for play schemes and holiday camps, but not good for term time activities where you want to be moving children forwards educationally and progressing them with skill sets. Number 4, products. So for me, when it comes to products, it's looking at what merchandise you can develop that adds value to what you're delivering, but also increases brand awareness. Kids will much more than adults go and wear all the football kits, all the sports programs. They'll wear the backpack, they'll have the drawstring bag, they'll kick the football around for anything that you've got that's branded connected to your program. And on the right hand side, you can see kits that we supply to David Lloyd for one of their football programs. Custom production doesn't have to be expensive. It's not as expensive as it used to be. So you can really create some nice custom party bags, custom kits, custom theme workshop bags for your camps and programs at not the kind of cost that you would have had to have done previously on custom stuff. It's a great opportunity to increase revenue and divisional profitability, particularly if you're adding things like party bags onto the cost of a party. Those add-ons, those bolt-on products can really help, particularly if you're running your children's activity program as almost like a cost-neutral part of your business. Price, and I love, again, this quote, pricing is all about customer value. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. And for me, when it comes to kids' activities, kids don't care about who's paying. They care about the value they're getting, the excitement they're enjoying, the experience that they are taking part in. So when it comes to pricing, health clubs, leisure centres have a number of different models. I'm just going to kind of highlight a few of them. You've got inclusive classes within membership. So I've got £20 a month, the kids come in, that enables them to access the creche, or it enables them to do a couple of hours of classes, or all of our classes are free and the membership includes that. And there are a number of financial models to look at when it comes to inclusive classes within memberships. You've then got bolt-on pricing. So there might be a generic children's membership price that includes swimming and a couple of hours in the creche if they're younger, but then they pay for all these other classes on top. So every class, every program becomes a little profit center that you've got to work out, well, how much am I paying my staff, and how much revenue and how many kids do I need to bring in order to break even or make money out of that. Some health clubs look at particularly the children's division and the creche primarily as subsidized by the membership. So in order to drive family memberships, they will provide X number of activities or creche solutions at no cost, and it's covered by the membership fees. So therefore, you've got a children's division that typically won't make any money, but that is a strategic decision by the organisation to go, no, because we make an awful lot more money out of family memberships, and we're happy to utilise some of those funds to subsidise. And as a bit of information, a family member typically stays 50% longer than an adult member in a health and fitness club. So therefore, the value of giving those family members a reason to stay even longer is huge. Term renewals versus monthly subscriptions. If we go back to those week-by-week classes, those after-school swim programs, the afternoon, gymnastics program, whatever that might be, you've seen a shift probably in the last 5 or 6 years that rather than going, right, I'm going to sign up for 6 or 12 weeks, and then at the end of it, do you want to renew for the next term? Do you want to renew for the next term? We'll move you up to the next class and we'll want to renew. That's kind of becoming old hat now. And it's been superseded by 12-month subscriptions, like a direct debit for swim school, a direct debit for your gymnastics class. And I'm also now starting to see direct debits for holiday camps, even though holiday camps are at certain stages of the year, primarily in the summer. It's a really good opportunity for parents to spread the cost of their holiday camp childcare costs over the course of the year. And they might pay X amount a month, but that enables them to come on 6 holiday camps over the course of the year. And that could be October half term, it could be the Easter holidays, or it could be summer. A bit like you will find with those people that with families are contributing towards Christmas presents on a monthly basis, and that's enabling them to do the same thing. So monthly subscriptions now, you then get consistent cash flow. You haven't got the administrative issues of having to renew kids and get new paperwork and time constraints. So there's a huge number of financial and administrative benefits of moving to monthly direct debits or monthly subscriptions for children's programs. Penultimate one, people. Again, great little quote. A great employee is like a four-leaf clover, hard to find, lucky to have. And for me, children's activities professionals, and I will use that term, are hard to find. They're hard to find, the good ones, and they're even harder to keep. And that is, for me, because children's activities hasn't always been seen as a profession in its own right. When I was coming through the sector 25 years ago, childcare was seen as the thing that you do when you weren't very good at school. And I think it's professionalized an awful lot in the last 5 or 10 years. But for me, anyone that's working in children's activities is being provided the most prized asset or possession of a parent. So therefore, there is nothing more professional than looking after children, coaching them, educating them, giving them their first steps in a sport or into an active lifestyle. So do you have a specialist team or are you just cross-training other staff? And cross-training other staff is fine as long as they have a passion and a want to do it. And Rob, you alluded to it earlier, and I've seen it so many times that, oh, you know, the lifeguard, well, you can look after the kids and we've got a fitness instructor. Can you just do a session with teenagers and look after them? There's got to be a strategic decision as to how much you want to focus on getting it right. And for me, having a specialist team far outweighs a cross-trained team. If you can't find the right people, bringing in freelancers. There are a lot of people out there, and there's also external organizations and franchises that you can bring in. So if you want to run a preschool football program, but you just can't find the staff, there are preschool football franchises out there that you could, you know, they'll happily come in and run the program for you and give you a profit share of what they are generating through utilizing and accessing your member base or your facilities. So we'll have a real think on how you want to utilize staff resource and people. And if you have got a specialist team, how are you training them? How are you developing them? How are you making sure that their next step in their career is actually out of your business? Sorry, it's not out of your business. It's actually a next step within your business because you're enabling them to move forwards within a children's activities profession within that. So a fitness instructor can go into being a fitness supervisor or a fitness manager. How are you giving those steps for someone in the children's activities world? And finally, for promotion, so how are you marketing and how are you getting out the information? So where does children's activities sit within your product mix? Are you a family club or are you an adult club that just taps on children's activities for certain age groups as a value add to membership? How are you positioning that? Are you making sure that your website has a balance of family photos, kids photos, or is it all adult focused? So really look at that children's activities division, if that's what you want to call it, within your business, and where does it sit within your product mix? Is it a USP that you could have over your competitors? Are you up against boutique chains that don't do kids activities for a number of reasons? So your USP is to really focus on families. Have you got facilities that are accessible for all sorts of different age groups? So therefore you've got something that your competitors don't. The other piece, very similar to personal trainers, if you have got good staff, kids and families follow good staff. So if you can attract the best staff in this sector, then the kids will follow and they'll join simply because of the instructors that you have within your business. Family memberships, we talked about them a little bit earlier. Typically, the retention rate of a family membership is 50% longer than an adult membership or a single membership. So do you have that? Is it 2 adults up to 4 kids? How do you price that accordingly so it's accessible for parents, and what does it include within that membership fee? And for me, the promotion of using schools and sports clubs, really underrated. It's hard to get into schools and promote, but you can pay to promote within school bags and newsletters and a lot of the emails that they're sending out now. So how are you accessing the schools to drive an understanding of what you are doing, or how are you utilizing schools as an outreach program? How can you go into schools and provide them value add to help promote your brand? And how can you attract schools to come in and use your swimming pool, or to do a teenage gym session where they might not have access to it in quieter times for your business. So promotion is really key, but you've got to understand where children's activities sits in your strategy, and where does it sit as part of your product mix in order to give it that focus. So they are the 7 kind of key areas, and we've gone through them relatively quickly, and we could spend hours on each of the 7. But that gives a snapshot of where it is. A little quote that I kind of really believe in. Children's activities can be one of the foundations of your health and fitness business, or simply a value add to drive and retain customers and increase profitability. Either way, it needs focus to do it, the justice that it deserves, and to achieve the results that you want. For me, you can't dabble with kids' activities. You've got to do it, or don't bother. You commit to it, focus on it, give it the attention that it deserves. And those people that have got it right have nailed it, in terms of driving revenue, driving memberships, and creating a family environment or an experience where, particularly in some of the quieter times, I've seen some amazing health clubs that do some great activities, weekend afternoons, which are typically pretty quiet for the adult gym goer. Driving parties, driving themed workshops, and so on. So do it right, give it the focus it deserves, and it will definitely give you the results that you want. So just to recap, our aim was to discuss the 7 Ps of children's activities, which we've gone through. Hopefully you'll remember them. If you haven't done, have a little bit of a rating of your 7 areas. Where do you think you sit? And if you're not doing anything at the moment, no issue. That just gives you some actions to move forwards. And when you have some time off the back of the webinar, have a look at any action items that you've got in each of those 7 areas, and what are the key things that you can do, that you can change, that could add value to your business as you move forwards. Because ultimately, the webinar is around how to run it successfully, but also how it impacts your business positively as you move forwards. So just to wrap off, and we will do any questions that people have got. I'm happy, as is my team, to meet with anyone that would like a more detailed kind of 30-minute catch-up or so on anything to do with children's activities, or indeed marketing or the business full stop. So if anyone has any particular real focuses or issues within their business, or just wants to start looking at opening up their doors to kids for the first time, feel free to drop me a call, drop me an email, and I'll happily jump on and chat that through with you. So, Rob, over to you, and to wrap up and see if we've got any questions, and take it from there. Yeah, you're muted, Rob.
There we go. I'll start again. Thank you very much, Chris. Yeah, so I've been scribbling down notes as we go. So I've got either statements or questions. It depends how I pitch them, really. But if anybody has any questions, drop them into the chat feature, or if you want to unmute yourself, feel free and just sort of stick your hand in the air and we'll go. So, I mean, the first thing I thought, the Kidsivity brand, I think you called it Kidsivity. It's something I've never thought about, but in the fitness world, we do it with mainstream fitness in terms of things like Les Mills and Boxercise and all these sorts of things, which are off-the-shelf, choreographed classes and a brand. And I've never seen it in the kids world before, maybe because I'm not involved in that, but I thought it's a great product for clubs that aren't involved at the minute to get them rolled out pretty quick. So I like that one. I think that's good. Yeah, and
it's a really simple solution for those that don't want to spend the time or don't have the expertise to build something, but just want something, as you say, off the shelf, like a body pump, body combat, Boxercise, whatever that might be. That was very much the premise when we started to build it out. We were just getting asked for that type of thing from organisations, and it started with actually a health club chain in Europe that said, we really want a circuit-based class for kids. Can you develop something? And it moved from there. We then had can you create a football program for us? And can we do a preschool program for us? And so we started getting requests for these types of product development sides. So we just thought, well, let's create a brand with off-the-shelf solutions. Now, some people use the names that we conceptualized, and some people call it their own thing, which, either way, it just gives a structure without having to worry too much, in exactly the same way that, as you say, with Les Mills and so on.
Yeah, I like it. And did you say you can white label that as well?
Yeah, so a few of the organisations, you wouldn't see some of the programs that have got in because, they're white labeled to their own name. So it's the same content that sits behind it. It's the same training that sits behind it. but they've called it whatever they've called it. They've put their own logo and identity to it. So yeah, that's exactly how we've built it out. So we've tried to make it as flexible as possible, depending on what the needs are. You know, but a large organization doesn't want to necessarily say that they paid someone to do it, versus a smaller organization that will quite happily take any name because it's structured and it gives them a brand, and they haven't got to worry about paying for brand identity and creation of assets and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that's really good. I think we'll mention that as we post the video. So I think that's going to be good for a lot of the gyms that just want to implement something. So definitely good. As you went through, you talked about the 7 Ps. I think place, you mentioned about getting the balance of your existing members and the adults that go there for their time. And that was always something. My background is membership sales, and I always used kids' activities to drive the adult membership. I didn't care about the kids in that respect, but it was a way to get the adult to join. But what I found was that if it was a timetabled activity, or we gave notification of extra activities, as long as the members knew about it, they didn't mind. And as long as it wasn't 5:30 in the main pool with 100 kids when they wanted to do their lengths, they didn't mind. So I think for me, just a statement there is just, as long as it's communicated to your members, it's never an issue.
Communication is absolutely key, and also just being sensible with it, as you say, scheduling it in what I would call the shoulder periods. You know the gym is going to be busy 5 till 7, so put it in at 3:30. Kids finish school at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Get them in at that earlier time, so they're leaving the high footfall areas at that time when the adults are now starting to come back in. And it's all about, as you say, communicating it, making sure your swimming pool timetable is very defined. People get used to it, but I just don't like that open change. So there's some really good examples of facility timetabling that work based on the needs, as opposed to, well, we'll just do it at 5 o'clock. We've got a member of staff that's available at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with the post-lockdown world, I think the main structures, the main times will probably still remain the same, even though less people are in the office and so on. I think those core times are still going to roughly be there, aren't they?
Yeah.
I don't see them changing so much. Yeah, good. The merchandise one, I really like the merchandise, and I thought what I've learned over the few years of running this Facebook group and just generally dealing with gyms day to day is that we talk more and more about creating a community. So the gyms create a community for their members. I'm doing that through the Facebook group. And I think the kids' activities creates a community for them as well. And if they have the branding that they can wear, they're proud to be part of DL Kids or whatever your gym's called, Kids. I think that's amazing. I think the branding is, even though it's a revenue maker, but it also brings the kids in and helps with the retention for them long term, because I want to keep going back and I want to stay part of it. So I like that. Yeah,
it gives them a sense of belonging, and I think that's key. They want to go to X club. They want to go to X, activity program. In the same way that an adult goes, I'm off the body pump tonight. What are the kids going to? What can you come up with in terms of a brand identity name for a class or a program? That helps give them that that ability to feel like that they're going to their place. They're not just tagging along with mum and dad to go to where mum and dad go.
Yeah, they're not getting thrown in the pool for half an hour whilst the parents go and do their stuff. They're actually part of the structure.
Giving them that sense of belonging is absolutely key, because then they'll be the ones that drive mum and dad to come back. If mum and dad aren't feeling very well, or they're a bit tired, or they've had a long day, they won't go to the gym. But if the children are like, well, no, because I'm going to I'm seeing my friends, I'm going to see my instructor, I'm going to see the coach, they will drive it. And that, again, that's one of the fundamental reasons why family memberships, the retention of them is longer, because if you get it right, the kids will be the ones, we can't leave, because I can't take little Johnny to go and do his karate, or we won't be able to go and do swimming on a Sunday together, or whatever that might be. That stickability is huge when it comes to families, if you get the product mix right.
Yeah, definitely. It becomes their routine, doesn't it? I think when I used to work at David Lloyd again as a lifeguard, the amount of times I'd see the parents would come, walk through the front door, drop the kids at the kids' activities, and they'd be in the jacuzzi within about 2 minutes. So they'd be there. Yeah, I think that was great. Right, last statement for me, and it kind of ties into what I said before, and in terms of the people that you use, and make it a specialist. Don't just use Rob the lifeguard in his 17-year-old sort of age, doesn't know what he's doing. It's use a specialist. And David Lloyd is a prime example. We saw, when I was at David Lloyd, we saw it change from people like myself that were just told to do it and figure it out, to specialists that wanted to run children's activities. And I think that's key, is that get people that can do it well and want to do it well.
Yeah, and also it's got to be people that are passionate about it. And I think that passion, that want to do it, kids will see through a fake very, very easily. So that passion, even if it's not someone that is necessarily a specialist at that point in time, but at least has a passion to want to do it. I'd love to work in kids' activities. What you've found over the years with kids' activities, it's been the stepping stone to something else. I'll do that because it enables me to then go on and be a fitness instructor. Because I just want to prove that I can do anything. And I've seen a lot of lifeguards that have gone, well, I'll do it because I've been told to do it. It's not my end position. My end position is to be a personal trainer, or my end position is to go on and work somewhere else within the facility. So the big bit of advice for me is don't allow the children's department to be a stepping stone to something else. Let it be the destination for someone that actually really cares and has a passion for working in that sector.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Right, that was all from me. Unless there's any more questions from anybody in the audience, or if anybody has any questions, drop them an email to Chris. We'll sign off here. Thank you very much for.
There's one coming in, Rob.
Is that Lorraine?
I would just like to. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, loud and clear, Lorraine.
Yeah, thank you. I'm actually up in Aberdeenshire, in Scotland, and I'm standing in for Rachel. She's got shed. We've been badly affected by COVID. She'd only just started had the gym opened 6 months before the COVID. I'm actually gonna. She's my friend, which is my PT. Known each other for a long time. I've actually done my level 2, so I'm at very early stages of starting to do some coaching with the teens and the minis. But one of my the areas I've done, I'm going to try and expand it for her and do more work, and we'll look into the kids' activities more as well. The branding, I think that's a brilliant idea to get them focused, because one of the problems that we can have is that they just pay when they come. It's a very small amount for the half hour. This for 8 to 12-year-olds, but they'll not want to come every week, and you're sort of standing there and you've got capabilities of having 10 of the kids, and maybe 3 all turn up. But of course, this is the Easter holidays, so there's things that they're doing this week that they weren't doing last week, but it's a difficult area to, they all really love it. But sometimes they're lacking, the age of the kids are just lacking a bit of motivation to come every week. They can just dip in and out, and it's not managing that. I don't know if you've any.
I think you've hit one of the most difficult parts of kids. I call it kids' activities, but it's the young adults that are coming in at these ages that when they get to that 12, 13, 14 age, they are the ones making the conscious decision whether they come. Beneath that, the parents making the decision to bring them. That's the difference. So whereas the 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, they'll come pretty religiously, more so because the parents will bring them because they're not leaving them at home. You get to that age where you've got to flip that. What is the reason why they're coming? What is their motivation to come? Because they're the ones making the decision, because they can just stay at home if they don't want to come. And then that's typically fine. So you've then got to look at what are you competing with? You're competing with their friends, you're competing with social media, you're competing with computer games, you're competing with homework, you're competing with all those things. So how are you overcoming that? And for me, one of the key things for the teenagers is they want to be in an environment when they're with their friends. So it's making sure that you've got that friend groups, and how do you connect with them inside and outside the club? So they see it as part of a community as opposed to a one-off class. They see it as part of a community, a small group, friends or people that they enjoy spending time with. That's the reason why they keep coming back. And again, how you communicate with them is key, and it's harder. But when you've got things like Facebook groups that you can switch on for children aged over 13, that's allowed. So do you have a teenage club Facebook group where you're sharing what you're doing and updates and so on? So you're meeting them halfway between just come every week and I'll say hello to you, but how do we as a brand, the gym, communicate with you when you're not here with us? Things like Facebook groups, utilizing TikTok, utilizing Instagram, or they can have as soon as they're 13 years old,
Yeah.
that's the piece where you're going to need to meet them partway through.
Oh,
You know,
I know. Yeah, that's like, oh, blimey, I've got to.
yeah, it's a tough one, and it's a minefield for that age group as well. But the key focus is, for me, they make the choice whether they come. The younger they are, the parent makes the choice.
Yeah, you're just making it exciting as well as what you were saying. But I mean, teenagers, the sort of 13s, well, like the 14s and 15s, they're just wanting to get into the gym. They're not even worried about a body weight circuit class, you know, that's going to help them develop as athletes as well. They just want in the gym to do the weights. And it's like, oh my God, their responsibility, you know, because their muscles are still growing. And it's getting that allocated time where the gym's quiet so that you can just supervise, you know, because they almost don't want you to be sort of interfering with what they're doing themselves. They're all amazing how when they get to that age, 13, 14, 15, till they can join at 16, they're amazing what they do know, but they don't, it's the technique, you know, that's the key. So, but it's been, I'll be quiet because I was just, you know, Rachel says, go for it and get in there, you know, and I'm like, oh, but I've been writing as you've been talking, so I'll have to build it up and let her know what what I heard you saying. But thanks very much.
No problem. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah. What do I do about, I mean, the rate yourself is, do I go back on, how do I do that part, the rate yourself? I don't have to worry too much about it because I've learned a lot, but is it help you for me to complete the rate yourself?
No, that's rating you and what you do at the moment. So that's personal to your program. Absolutely. So that's just a tool for you to utilize to go, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And here's some actions that are going to help me, you know, in those areas.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'll just build it on what I've wrote down. I've done quite good writing, but thanks very much. I've enjoyed it.
No,
okay, so
excellent.
I can just tap this and leave now.
Yeah, I'm going to sign off for us now anyway, Lorraine. So thank you. Thanks for jumping on. It sounds like Rachel's doing a massive extension on the gym up in Scotland.
Yeah, I mean, she's just been, and I've known her for so long. She was, I think she worked for the David Lloyd. Is that how you? Yeah, I think maybe how you met her as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. She's doing a big extension. If she gets it, I think it's come this week that all the plans will be going in. But we've kind of just been working together. I mean, she was a footballer herself, you know, and I've got grandkids and I've known her for so long, and I went and did my level 2. So I'm having a lot of fun. But we're going to get right into it now because the restrictions are all lifting, which is we'll get in and get our teeth into it all again. So
less than 2 weeks, you'll be there.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, though.
Right then. Thanks, guys. Thank you very much for listening in. Chris, thanks for your time today. We'll get this shared in the group. If anybody wants to rewatch it, please do, and we'll reach out to Chris if you've got any questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.